It was a beautiful summer day, the sun shining bright in the clear blue sky. The birds were singing, and the gentle breeze was blowing through the trees. Caitlin and her friends had decided to go for a hike in the nearby woods, enjoying the natural beauty that surrounded them. As they walked, they chatted and laughed, enjoying each other's company. "I love this place," Caitlin said, looking around. "It's so peaceful and beautiful." "I know," her friend Rachel replied. "I come here to escape from the world sometimes." They continued walking, the path winding through the trees, and then they saw it, a clearing, a beautiful spot where the sun shone down on a bed of wildflowers. Caitlin's heart skipped a beat. She had never seen anything so beautiful. Caitlin and her friends made their way to the clearing, walking through the wildflowers. As they walked, they noticed something strange. The flowers seemed to be wilting, turning brown and withered. Caitlin frowned, wondering what could be causing it. And then they heard it, a low growling sound coming from deep within the woods. They froze, their hearts pounding with fear. "What was that?" Rachel whispered. "I don't know," Caitlin replied, "but we need to be careful." They looked around, trying to see if there was anything nearby that could be causing the growling. And then they saw it, a pair of glowing eyes, staring at them from the shadows. They screamed, turning to run, but it was too late. The creature was upon them, its claws tearing into their flesh. Caitlin woke up, her head pounding with pain. She was lying on the ground, surrounded by trees and bushes. She looked around, trying to get her bearings. And then she saw her friends. Rachel was lying nearby, her body torn and bloody. The others were nowhere to be seen. Caitlin felt sick with fear and grief. She had never felt so alone. She tried to stand up, but her legs wouldn't hold her weight. And then she heard it, the growling sound coming from deep within the woods. She knew that she needed to get out of there, to find help and get away from the creature that had attacked them. But she couldn't move. She was trapped, alone and helpless. Caitlin lay on the ground, her mind racing with fear and despair. She knew that she needed to do something, to find a way to escape. And then she remembered her phone. She fumbled for it in her pocket, praying that it was still working. She pulled it out, relieved to see that it was still intact. She dialed 911, hoping against hope that they would answer. And then she heard the operator's voice, crackling through the speaker. 911, what's your emergency? Caitlin tried to speak, her voice choked with tears. We were attacked in the woods, she managed to say. My friends are dead, and I'm hurt. I need help. And then she waited, praying that help would come. Caitlin waited, her heart pounding with fear and anxiety. And then she heard it, the sound of sirens getting closer and closer. She breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that help was on the way. And then she heard something else, the sound of footsteps coming from deep within the woods. She froze, her heart pounding with fear. And then she saw it, the creature coming towards her, its eyes glowing with hunger and rage. Caitlin screamed, trying to crawl away, but it was too late. The creature was upon her, its claws tearing into her flesh. And then everything went black. Caitlin woke up, her head pounding with pain. She was lying on a hospital bed, surrounded by machines and beeping monitors. She tried to sit up, but a sharp pain shot through her body, making her cry out in pain. And then she saw her parents. They were standing by her bedside, their faces etched with worry and fear. Caitlin, her mother said, tears streaming down her face. We were so worried about you. Caitlin tried to speak, but her throat was dry and scratchy. What happened? She managed to say. Her father looked at her, his eyes filled with sadness. You were attacked in the woods, he said. Your friends didn't make it, but you're going to be okay. Caitlin felt a wave of grief wash over her. She couldn't believe that her friends were gone. And then she felt a different kind of pain, a hunger deep within her belly. She tried to ignore it, but it was getting stronger and stronger. Caitlin lay on her hospital bed, her mind racing with fear and confusion. She felt a hunger, a deep and insatiable craving that she couldn't ignore. And then she remembered the creature, the one that had attacked her in the woods. She wondered if there was a connection between the creature and the hunger she felt. She tried to get up, but a sharp pain shot through her body, making her cry out in pain. And then she saw it, a pair of glowing eyes, staring at her from the shadows. Caitlin felt a wave of fear wash over her. She knew that she needed to get away, to find help and get rid of the hunger that was consuming her. But she was trapped, alone and helpless. Caitlin lay on her hospital bed, her mind racing with fear and confusion. She felt a hunger, a deep and insatiable craving that she couldn't ignore. And then she heard a knock at the door. She looked up, her heart pounding with fear. And then she saw him, a tall, dark-haired man, wearing a long black coat and carrying a staff. He looked at her, his eyes piercing and wise. "I heard that you were in need of my services," he said. Caitlin felt a wave of relief wash over her. She knew that this man was a magician, one of the few who had the power to help her. She told him everything about the creature and the hunger that she felt. He listened carefully, nodding his head as she spoke. And then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small vial. "Drink this," he said. "It will help to alleviate your hunger." Caitlin took the vial, grateful for his help, and then she drank it. Caitlin drank the contents of the vial, feeling a warm and soothing sensation wash over her. She felt her hunger dissipating, the gnawing pain in her belly fading away. And then she felt something else, a surge of power coursing through her veins. She looked at the magician, amazed at what she was feeling. "What did you do?" she asked. The magician smiled at her. "I gave you a small amount of my power," he said. "It should help you to control the hunger, at least for a little while." Caitlin felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. She knew that she couldn't have survived without his help. And then she remembered the creature. "What about the creature?" she asked. "What can we do to stop it?" The magician looked at her, his eyes dark and serious. "There is only one way to stop it," he said. "We need to destroy it, once and for all." Caitlin felt a wave of fear wash over her. She didn't know if she was ready to face the creature again, but she knew that she had to try. Caitlin and the magician left the hospital, making their way towards the woods. Caitlin felt a wave of fear wash over her as they walked deeper into the trees. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them, waiting to attack. And then she saw it, the creature, lurking in the shadows, its eyes glowing with hunger and rage. Caitlin tried to run, but the creature was too fast. It was upon them, its claws tearing into the magician's flesh. Caitlin watched in horror as the magician was thrown to the ground, his body torn and bloody. And then she felt the hunger again, the craving that she couldn't ignore. She knew that she had to fight, to protect herself and the ones she loved. She focused her mind, letting the power of the magician flow through her. And then she attacked. Caitlin's attack was swift and brutal. The creature snarled and hissed, trying to fight back. But Caitlin was too powerful. She could feel the power coursing through her veins, fueling her every move. And then she struck the killing blow. The creature fell to the ground, its body twitching and writhing in pain. Caitlin stood over it, panting and sweating, her eyes wild with adrenaline. She had done it. She had defeated the creature. But at what cost? She looked at the magician, lying on the ground, his body torn and broken. And then she felt the hunger again. The hunger that she couldn't ignore. Caitlin felt the hunger rising inside her, a deep and insatiable craving that she couldn't ignore. She knew that she needed to feed, to satiate the hunger that was consuming her. And then she saw the magician's body, lying on the ground, his blood pooling around him. She felt a surge of hunger, a deep and terrible need to taste his blood. She knew that it was wrong, that it was an evil desire, but she couldn't help it. She knelt down beside him, her mouth watering with hunger, and then she drank. She felt the power of the magician's blood flowing into her, giving her strength and vitality. She drank until there was nothing left. And then she felt a wave of shame wash over her. What had she done? What kind of monster was she? Caitlin stood up, her head spinning with guilt and shame. She knew that she had done something terrible, something unforgivable. And then she heard a voice. "Are you okay?" She turned around, seeing a man standing there. He was tall and handsome, with piercing blue eyes and short blonde hair. He wore a black suit and had a strange symbol on his lapel. Caitlin didn't know who he was, but she felt drawn to him, like a mote to a flame. "I'm fine," she said, her voice shaking with emotion. The man looked at her, his eyes seeming to see right through her. "I know what you are," he said, "and I know what you've done." Caitlin felt a surge of fear wash over her. "What do you want?" she asked. The man smiled. "I want to help you," he said. Caitlin hesitated for a moment, unsure if she should trust this stranger. But she knew that she needed help, that she couldn't keep living like this. "Okay," she said. "What do you want me to do?" The man smiled and took her hand. "Come with me," he said. "There is a place where you can learn to control your powers, where you can become something more than just a monster." Caitlin didn't know what to say, but she knew that she had to try. She followed the man through the woods, feeling a strange sense of familiarity. And then they arrived at a large, ancient castle. The man led her inside, and Caitlin gasped at the sight. There were people everywhere, all of them with magical powers. They were practicing spells and incantations, studying ancient tomes and artifacts. Caitlin felt a surge of excitement, and she knew that she had found her home. Caitlin spent the next few months at the castle, learning everything she could about magic and control. She met other people like her, people who had been cursed with powers that they couldn't control. They trained together, practicing their spells and learning to control their hunger. And then, one day, Caitlin met a boy. His name was Lucas, and he was everything she had ever wanted. He was kind and gentle, with a heart of gold, and he had magical powers, just like her. They fell in love, and for a while, everything was perfect. But then, things started to go wrong. People started disappearing from the castle, and there were whispers of a dark power lurking in the shadows. Caitlin didn't know what to do, but she knew that she had to find out what was going on. She and Lucas set out to investigate, determined to uncover the truth. Caitlin and Lucas searched the castle, looking for any clues as to what was happening. They talked to the other students, asking if anyone had seen or heard anything strange. But no one had any answers. And then, one night, they saw something. It was a dark figure, moving through the shadows. Caitlin and Lucas followed it, creeping silently through the halls of the castle. And then, they saw it, a room filled with dark magic. There were symbols scrawled on the walls, and strange objects scattered around. Caitlin and Lucas approached cautiously, not knowing what to expect. And then they saw him, the man from the woods, the one who had brought Caitlin to the castle. He was standing there, surrounded by a circle of dark energy, and he was holding a young girl, her eyes filled with terror. Caitlin and Lucas tried to approach, but the man was too powerful. He threw them back with a blast of dark energy, and they fell to the ground, unable to move. And then he was gone, taking the girl with him. Caitlin and Lucas knew that they had to do something, that they had to stop the man before he hurt anyone else. But they didn't know how. They were alone, and they were scared. Caitlin and Lucas regrouped, determined to find a way to stop the man. They knew that they couldn't do it alone, that they needed help. They reached out to the other students, telling them what had happened. And to their surprise, they found that they were not alone. There were others, just like them, who had been living in fear. They banded together, forming a plan to stop the man and his dark magic. They studied, trained, and prepared. And then, the day came. They confronted the man, facing him down with all their power. Caitlin and Lucas fought side by side, unleashing their magic in a desperate bid to stop the man. And then, something happened. A surge of power, unlike anything they had ever felt before. It flowed through them, fueling their spells and empowering them beyond their wildest dreams. Caitlin and Lucas unleashed a torrent of magic, overwhelming the man and his dark powers. And then, it was over. The man lay defeated, and the young girl was safe. Caitlin and Lucas knew that they had done something incredible, that they had saved the castle from a terrible fate. But they also knew that there was more to do, that there would always be new threats and new challenges. And so, they stood together, ready to face whatever came next. The students of the castle banded together after the defeat of the dark magician. They trained together, honing their skills and learning how to work as a team. Caitlin and Lucas were at the forefront of the group, leading by example and showing the others what it meant to be a true magician. They faced challenges and threats, always coming out on top. And then, one day, a new student arrived. Her name was Lily, and she was unlike anyone they had ever met. She was dark and brooding, with a haunted look in her eyes. Caitlin and Lucas were hesitant to trust her, but they knew that they needed all the help they could get. They welcomed her into the group, showing her the ropes and teaching her how to control her powers. And for a while, everything was fine. But then, strange things started happening. People went missing, and there were whispers of a new threat. Caitlin and Lucas knew that they had to act, that they had to find out what was going on. They approached Lily, asking her if she knew anything. And that's when things took a turn for the worse. Lily revealed herself to be a dark magician, using her powers to control the students of the castle. Caitlin and Lucas tried to stop her, but it was too late. Lily had already taken control, and she was more powerful than they could have ever imagined. Caitlin and Lucas were trapped, caught in Lily's web of dark magic. They tried to fight back, but it was no use. Lily was too strong, too powerful. She had the students of the castle under her control, using them to do her bidding. Caitlin and Lucas knew that they had to find a way to break free, to find a weakness in Lily's power. They searched and searched, looking for anything that could help them. And then, one day, they found it. A rare book on ancient magic, hidden away in the castle's library. They pored over the pages, searching for a spell that could help them. And then, they found it. A powerful spell that could break through Lily's magic, freeing them from her control. They studied the spell, practicing it over and over again. And then, the day came. They faced off against Lily, unleashing the full power of the spell. It was a desperate bid, a last-ditch effort to break free. But it worked. Lily's power was broken, and the students of the castle were free once again. Caitlin and Lucas stood victorious, knowing that they had done something incredible. They had defeated not one, but two dark magicians, saving the castle from certain doom. And as they looked out over the castle, they knew that they were ready for whatever came next. The students of the castle were free from the threat of dark magic, and life returned to normal. Caitlin and Lucas continued to lead the group, training the next generation of magicians. And Lily, she was gone, vanished without a trace. No one knew what had become of her or where she had gone. But Caitlin and Lucas knew that they could never let their guard down. They had seen the danger of dark magic firsthand, and they knew that it could come back at any time. They vowed to remain vigilant, to always be on the lookout for any signs of a new threat. And they continued to use their powers for good, to protect the castle and the people within it. As the years went on, they became legends, the stuff of stories and legends. And though their names may have been forgotten over time, the legacy of their bravery and courage lived on. For in the end, it was their strength, their determination, and their unwavering belief in the power of magic that saved them all.